There was an idea. The idea was to bring together a group of remarkable movies to see if they could become something more. See if they could work together when we needed them to fight the battles that we never could. In other words, we need the ultimate Marvel movie. So I don't know if you've heard about the MCU before. It's this series of small-scale indie movies about weirdos in costumes. It's actually pretty great, I like it a lot. There's a lot of underrated characters such as Metal Man, Bug Boy, Chad, Captain Redneck, and many more just like them. I rarely see anyone talking about these movies, and I feel like I'm the only one who actually goes to see them in the cinemas. I honestly don't know how they've made it to 27 movies, but alas, here we are. Perhaps when they reach 60 movies, people will actually start paying attention to them. They've started also making TV shows, but I don't think people are really interested in those either. But I've been thinking that they're going about this the wrong way. Instead of making nearly 30 good movies, why not put all your effort into making one ultimate, perfect movie to rule them all? A movie that's so good that it will break the internet. $10 billion in revenue, easily. You may think I'm a madman. You think, how could this be possible? And I don't have the answers either. Just a boy from Brooklyn who has an idea. A dream that I will share with anyone who wants to listen. Anyone who has the same vision and dream that I have. Why settle for greatness when we can be something much more? I have a dream, and I'm gonna share it with you. Alright, so real talk before I start romanticizing myself. In this video, I'll be taking the best aspects from the best MCU movies and put them together in one movie, and seeing if, in theory, we can create the ultimate, perfect MCU movie. It will be different categories such as main character, fight scenes, comedy, and for each of these categories, we'll discuss possible candidates and then eventually choose the best option. However, I can only choose a movie once on this list, so even if there's a movie that I feel is the best in two categories, then I'll just have to suck it up and choose something else. I know it might be a weird decision, but I felt it would make the list more varied, and if we didn't do it like this, then Captain Marvel would just win all the categories. Also, I'm not really taking into account whether or not the different categories fit together perfectly. Like for example, I'm choosing a villain based on how good they are in their respective movie, not how well they'd fit into this new movie. It could factor in, but initially I just want to choose my favorite candidates for each category. And even if the movie ends up being a clusterfuck of random but amazing parts, then so be it. Also, this video concept really only works best if you all contribute down in the comments. These picks are just my own preferences, and naturally there will be some disagreements, and I'm very excited to see your own choices. But enough talk of rules and regulations, let's just dive right into the video. So we're starting off with the backbone of our story, the thing that will hopefully drive the emotions and plot of our movie, the protagonist. Now there are a lot of great and beloved main characters in MCU movies, so I need to specify that I'm not talking about the actual heroes themselves. Like I'm not saying whether or not I want Iron Man or Captain America or Star-Lord or Spider-Man in this movie, because I can't choose between my babies, so please don't force me to. Rather, I'm making my choice based on the writing of the character within the particular movie that I'm choosing. First of all, I want someone charismatic, which won't be hard to find in the MCU, but I also want someone who can give an emotional performance when the stakes are high. They need to be able to carry some of the comedy while also being taken seriously when things get hard. And I want things to get very hard for our main character. I want the stakes to be high, I want there to be some serious consequences, and I want a satisfying character arc. Some of the potential candidates I was thinking of range from Tony Stark in Iron Man 3, a really underappreciated movie in my opinion. We see Tony having serious struggles, we see him fighting without his suit, showing that Tony is the hero, not Iron Man. I also think his arc is satisfying. I was also thinking of Thor from Thor Ragnarok and a little bit of Infinity War. These movies changed the way people looked at Thor within the MCU. He's hilarious, but he also goes through some shit and develops as a character. However, the character that I'm choosing as my main character is Peter Parker from No Way Home. The emotional roller coaster Peter goes on in this movie is insane. I love how he finally learns the consequences of his actions, and at the end of the day, he sacrifices his own happiness to do the right thing. This is the essence of being a hero. It's an emotional performance, and the fact that he could remain the best part of a movie that had Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire returning as Spider-Man is a true testament to how good MCU Peter Parker was done in this movie. So yeah, Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man from No Way Home, is my main character. Now what is almost as important to an MCU movie as the main character? Well, the antagonist silly? Now there are a lot of great villains in the MCU. There are also a lot of forgettable ones, but there are so many fantastic villains. The obvious choice would of course be Thanos from Infinity War, but I want it to be a bit different. You know, be the mysterious girl that no one really knows, but everyone wishes they were as cool as. Oh, so I'm going to use the cheesy way to get out of choosing Thanos by saying that according to screen time, he's actually the main character of the movie. So yeah, we're not using Thanos, but there are still so many good villains. I mean, we have Loki, we have Ego from Guardians 2, we have Vulture from Homecoming, Mysterio from Far From Home, Xu Wenwu, who's fantastic in Shang-Chi. There's the Grandmaster from Thor Ragnarok, who's hilarious. However, the villain that I personally think is the best choice for our movie is someone like Killmonger from Black Panther. Now, Killmonger was my favorite part of that movie. He's first of all very charismatic, and he's a hunk of a man. So he's got that going for him, but he's also just a great foil to the main character. I love villains where their ideologies and their goals are pretty based and hard to really criticize, but their methods of reaching those goals is where the conflict really begins. I just really like Killmonger. I think he's dope and he represents some really awesome themes. I think someone like him would make for a great villain for our movie. Now a movie can't just have 2 characters. That wouldn't be fun. So let's get ourselves 3 supporting characters to help Peter on his journey. This category is probably the least objective one because any of the MCU characters could be a good side character in the right movie. These are kind of just characters that I think would be fun to have alongside Peter Parker and Killmonger. Let me know which 3 characters you'd pick, but personally, I'm going for Doctor Strange, Yelena, and Talos. Doctor Strange just works so well as a supporting character in any movie he's in, and the other 2 are just hilarious, and I really want to see them interact, especially with Peter Parker. Now, I think the next aspect our movie desperately needs is a good plot. And remember, whatever I pick is not the exact plot structure or event that I want in the movie. I just want something as good as the plot of whatever movie I choose, and then it'll magically work with the other aspects of the movie. Alright, it's a video for fuck's sake. But basically, I think there are a lot of really interesting plots in MCU movies. However, not all good movies have a necessarily good or unique plot. Some movies can be purely character driven. However, that's quite rare in MCU movies, so I'm basically just choosing movies that I think are best. So for me, the top contenders for plot are the 4 Avengers movies, Captain America the Winter Soldier and Civil War, Thor Ragnarok, Guardians of the Galaxy, Far From Home, and Iron Man 3. Those are at least my personal favorites. Now I'd be happy with any one of those, and since I already have most of them in mind for other categories, I will go for Avengers Endgame. This was the MCU movie to rule them all. Although it was a bit disjointed at times during the first half, I mean it's not a perfect story structure, but it kept me super engaged all the way throughout with great character moments, dynamics, interactions, good action scenes, very emotional moments, and amazing highs and lows. If we can trim up the structure of the movie a tad bit, then I think we've got ourselves a great potential plot that's able to hold all these other dominating and incredible aspects. So yeah, as for the scale of our plot, we're going with Avengers Endgame. Now what is an MCU movie without comedy? Although I want this movie to be serious and emotional, I still want it to be able to crack out some genuine laughter every once in a while. Although not all MCU movies really succeed at having truly funny moments, there definitely are some that nail the comedic moments. Humor is of course very subjective, and what I find funny isn't necessarily what you will find funny. Personally, I think Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, Thor Ragnarok, and Infinity War have my favorite comedic moments within the MCU. No Way Home is also great in this regard, but naturally I've already used it in the list. To be honest, this one is very difficult for me. I'd be happy with either one of them. However, I think for the sake of this list, I will go with Thor Ragnarok. I just remember laughing hysterically in the cinema, and Korg is one of my favorite characters. So yeah, I'm going with Thor Ragnarok for comedy. Next up, we have action and choreography, which is a damn difficult one because all of them are action movies, and all of them do it to a decent enough standard. However, there definitely are some standouts, and when I thought about this character, I don't think there was ever any real doubt in my mind. I really like the action in movies like Iron Man 3, The Winter Soldier, Civil War. No Way Home also has incredible fight scenes, but again, we've already used it. But my choice for action / choreography is Shang-Chi. It's Kung Fu. Do I really need to say any more? It's badass, and who wouldn't want to see Peter Parker, Doctor Strange, Yelena, and Talos doing Kung Fu with great choreography and camera movement, fighting against Killmonger who's doing the same thing? I honestly can't imagine anything better. Now music / soundtrack is really difficult for me. First of all, it's quite subjective, but also some movies have great original soundtracks and some movies make brilliant use of licensed music. And sometimes the best scores are the ones that you don't even pay attention to unless you take them out of the movie. I feel like so many MCU movies have great soundtracks, and a lot of them have a couple of iconic themes. I mean, I really like the Avengers suite, Winter Soldier suite. I also really like Ludwig Göransson's music from Black Panther. We even have the Hulk movie, which has some surprisingly good music. And of course, there are movies like Guardians of the Galaxy where I'm jamming all the way throughout. This one is very up in the air, so I think I'll leave this one up to you guys down below, because I'd be happy with either one of those. But I'm more interested in what your favorite soundtracks are. Next up, we have visuals. Now, pretty much all MCU movies have good visual effects, and they obviously get better as we go along. I'm not really worried about the CGI or practical and visual effects. All that will look good either way, it's an MCU movie. I'm more thinking about what kind of style the movie will have. The thing is, I don't really know much about cinematography or what makes a shot look great. I mean, I know the basics, but it's not my specialty. MCU movies also aren't known for being pioneers of cinematography. A lot of their movies are shot very much the same. There are, however, some movies that stick out for me. We have movies that just look really pretty, with bright colors and beautiful backdrops. These are movies like Eternals or Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and 2. I also kind of find the grounded reality of Iron Man 1 very endearing. Obviously, with the scale of this movie, we can't really go with something like that, but it's good to remind ourselves where we started. I also really like how No Way Home was shot in a lot of scenes. Perhaps it's just my recency bias, but I feel like I'm talking way too much about No Way Home. I also really like some of the shots in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and Doctor Strange has those really cool and wacky sequences. Honestly, I'm going to do something a bit bold here. I'm going to choose a combination of movies for this category. If we truly are trying to make the best movie possible, then we can't let ourselves be held back by only choosing one movie for this category. It'll also allow us to have more movies on this list so that we don't leave out any that deserve a place on here. But anyways, I think if we take the cool shots from Winter Soldier, the color palette from Guardians 2, the backdrops from Eternals, and some of the weird and wacky scenes from Doctor Strange, then I think this movie will look amazing. Now, what great movie doesn't have an iconic plot twist? The MCU has some pretty great twists, some ranging from really impactful for the rest of the universe to others being more self-contained within the respective stories. Some of the standout twists in my opinion are Bucky being alive, the Mandarin not being the Mandarin, Mysterio's perception, although that one was quite obvious if you know anything about Spider-Man. There's also Talos not being the bad guy in Captain Marvel, and of course Thanos actually winning. I was going to go with that one, but you'll see in a bit why I didn't. But my favorite plot twist from the entire MCU comes from Spider-Man Homecoming. When that door opens and Peter realizes that Liz's dad is the Vulture, I remember I audibly choked on my water. It took me by surprise, and the tension that came afterwards when they were taking photos and during the car ride was done so well. And it's not a twist that has some colossal impact on the world itself. No, it's contained within the story. It has a significant effect on our main character, and it forces Peter to have to make that heroic choice. Have a wonderful night with Liz, or do the right thing. I fucking love this twist. If I can get something even close to that in this movie, then I'll be one happy fanboy. Now, no good movie is complete without an ending that leaves you satisfied, but also wanting more. If we're going to make the best MCU movie of all time, we need an ending that will leave a lasting impact on our audience, something that they'll never forget. Although there are many good endings in the MCU, there was only ever really one choice for me: Infinity War.
Come on! Oh my god! This is not the way to talk about to me.
Thanos actually winning and wiping out half the universe was an ending that many of us knew was a very real possibility. We just did not think that they'd go that far. I thought they couldn't possibly make Thanos win to the extent that he wanted to, but he did. And it shocked everyone. My cinema was dead silent. Only once the end credits scene started rolling and Nick Fury came on screen did people start buzzing again. They could begin to think outside of what had just happened, but no one could stop thinking about what had just transpired. I have such fond memories of the time after that ending, when all the theories began and everyone, even if you never watched an MCU movie before, was talking about what would happen in Endgame. If this movie can affect pop culture in that same way, then I think we have a true winner on our hands. To end off with, what's one thing that all MCU movies must have? A good post-credit scene. Now there are a lot to choose from, and I feel like they all mostly serve a different purpose. Looking at the scale of this movie, it's pretty clear that we'll need 2 post-credit scenes. So I'm thinking we go with one that is really hype and gets us excited for the future, like in Avengers with the Thanos reveal, or Peter Parker being unmasked in Far From Home, or in Iron Man 1 when Nick Fury teases the entire MCU. And then I want a fun one, something that will leave a little smile on the faces of the audience as they leave the cinema after this roller coaster of emotions, such as the Avengers eating shawarma or Baby Groot dancing. I think for this category I'll go with the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy. And there we have it. We have just pitched the idea for the ultimate MCU movie. Obviously, this movie is purely hypothetical, and we've only said that it should contain aspects similar and as good as these other movies, not trying to say what it actually should be. So there isn't really much for Marvel Studios to go off of, but I'm sorry, it's not my job to make these movies. I've given them the key to glory, now let's hope that they use their brains and take advantage of the gift that I've given them. I'm obviously joking. I absolutely love the MCU, and this was just a fun video that I wanted to make. I've had this idea for a while, and if you guys want me to do the same thing with other franchises, such as Star Wars, then let me know down in the comments. Also, please do tell me what you think of my choices and leave your own choices down below. Let's see if any of you can make a better movie than I can. I dare you. Also, before I end this video, it would mean a lot to me if you check out our Discord server. It's politics free with minimal swearing, a place where you can talk about the things that you enjoy with other fans just like yourself. The link is in the description. I also want to thank my awesome Patreons, including our turf captain Ben Joseph. The link to my Patreon is also down in the description. But other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe and peace out.